Okay, wonderful. We're here with Andrés Jaque, and this is the interview. To begin with the beginning, I wanted to ask you how it all started. What was your epiphany? How did you come to architecture, or architecture come to you?
Well, actually, I had a number of interests, and it was kind of a thing that I started to get into architecture, and I ended up doing architecture. But for many people, what I do is not architecture, so it's always like going around on this thing of what is the location from which I'm working.
So your interests were varied, but then you entered architecture. And who were your inspirations, your heroes? What were the architects who inspired you?
To be honest, I would say that, of course, it's not something that is so transparent for me to know, but now I would say that I came into architecture through peripheral things, like interior decoration, like Christmas trees, like dinner settings, like parties, and then the other interest of me was discussion, how people discuss about these things, and how they somehow get daily parliaments or politicals going on into their daily life because they had to know how to set up the table or things like that. So the two things at one point mixed together, and that's what I would say that are my inspirations.
And I see that you refer a lot to Parliament, and obviously made me think of Cedric Price and the pop-up Parliament, definitely. But it made me also think of Bruno Latour and the Parliament definitely. Of Things. Are these inspirations for you?
Definitely. I found Cedric Price such a discovery when I found him, his work, especially those in which he was trying to make something visible so people could discuss that or could take this thing into their daily conversations. And of course, Latour has been very important for me, not only Latour, but all the contexts in which they developed a symmetrical lecture or reading of society, in which material devices had the same status than humans or ideas or actions. And in my opinion, that's kind of a new context in which I'm very willing to work.
And what is it exactly about Bruno Latour? Because it's interesting, he has been mentioned before by several architects here in the Biennale, and I mean, obviously, each epoch has its authors who are, and it's more than a quote, it's toolboxes, and I mean, it's a sort of a Foucault idea, that the text can be a toolbox, and it seems to me that right now for architects, Bruno Latour seems to be a toolbox. To which extent is it a toolbox for you? Is it the actor network theory, or what is it?
Well, in many senses. For instance, one thing, but it's not only Bruno Latour, other people, like the idea that a good society is not a happy one or a pacifist one, but one which is fighting with the constitution. This main idea that is not only Bruno Latour, but we could find it also in Chantal Mouffe or Ernesto Laclau or many, many other people, is central in architecture, because architecture has been producing renders of people smiling in sunny days, and this idea is totally different. Other thing is the idea that truth is what circulates, or that there's not a single position from which you could have a crystalline or a better way of seeing realities. This idea of the crisis of expertise, which makes architects' role totally different, and many, many others. For instance, it's very important for me the idea that technology is not only the technological devices, but how society is reconstructed by the insertion of these devices. And but there are other French thinkers related to the ecology thinking that are very important for me. For instance, Edgar Morin for me is quite important in the way he's developed ethics as something that is got to do more with the result than with the intentions. And that's totally different for me in architecture. That makes a total different context for architecture, because it's not so important what the intentions of authors were, but how the result of their intentions is created a context in which then we can measure how things are happening. And this idea is, for me, very challenging.